started subtly. I'd wake up each morning to a faint scent threading through the apartment, something acrid, faintly sweet at the edges. Sulfur. I knew the smell from burnt matches, but this was thicker, more persistent. It clung to the air, settled into the fabric of my clothes, embedded itself into the walls. At first I thought it was the building. Old pipes, bad wiring, maybe something decaying in the vents. I cleaned obsessively, scrubbed every surface, opened windows to let the stench bleed out. But it returned. Every morning. Thicker. I bought air purifiers. I checked with the landlord. No one else complained. No other units noticed anything. Probably just city smells, they said. Happens sometimes when the weather shifts. But the smell wasn't outside. It was in here. The mornings got heavier. The air felt thicker, like a weight pressing down on my chest before I even swung my legs out of bed. My throat would tighten, my mouth tasting faintly of ash. No alarms went off, no smoke, just that smell, stronger each day, coiling deeper into the walls. Then I started noticing the residue. It wasn't ash. It was darker, almost oily. Smears on the kitchen counter, faint handprints on the glass of the coffee table. Once I woke to find perfect streaks along the inside of my bedroom window, like something or someone had pressed their fingers there from the outside. I stopped sleeping through the night. I started hearing sounds beneath the usual city noise, soft scraping like nails on drywall, delicate but persistent. A rhythm, a pattern, like something pacing along the walls, waiting for the right moment. One morning I woke to find my bedroom door open. I always shut it at night. The sulfur was so strong my eyes watered. I stumbled out into the hallway, choking, and noticed faint footprints on the wood floor. Black, oily, leading from the door to the center of the living room, where they simply ended. I cleaned them, scrubbed until the floorboards were raw. The smell lingered, heavy and smug. That night I tried sleeping with the lights on, but at exactly 3:13 a.m., they all flickered out. The sulfur thickened in the dark, almost solid, as though the air had been replaced with something denser, something alive. I heard it then. Not a sound from the walls. A voice. Stay. It wasn't a plea, it was a command. I bolted for the door. My hands shook so badly I could barely work the lock. When I finally threw it open, the hallway was filled with thick, choking smoke. I coughed, stumbled back, slammed the door shut. In the silence that followed, the voice whispered closer now, threading directly into my thoughts. You're already here. The sulfur faded briefly. The lights flickered back. But the weight in the room remained, heavier now, watching. The next morning the footprints returned. This time they led from the window to my bed, pressed deep into the carpet, as though something had crawled from the outside across the room and stood over me while I slept. I stopped going to work. I stopped answering calls. I kept the windows shut, the doors locked. But each morning the smell grew stronger. My throat burned. My skin itched with invisible heat. The black residue appeared in stranger places, inside drawers I hadn't opened, across mirrors I never touched. I tried leaving the apartment. I packed a bag, grabbed my keys, but when I opened the door, the hallway was gone. Not missing, replaced. An expanse of darkness stretched out where the hallway should have been. The air was thick with sulfur, rippling like heat off pavement. A single word pressed against my mind, not spoken but felt. Stay. I shut the door. Now each morning the sulfur arrives before I wake. It seeps into my dreams. Shapes move in the corners of my vision. The black handprints multiply. I don't bother cleaning them anymore. I know they'll return. Last night I woke to find my own hand streaked with the residue, my palm burned, my fingernails blackened, tips crumbling like burnt paper. I know I'm not alone here. I know I was never meant to leave. And when I close my eyes, I hear the voice again, softer now, almost kind. You've always belonged here. I don't know if I'll wake up tomorrow, but I know the sulfur will be waiting. This morning I didn't smell sulfur when I woke. It was worse. The air was thick, almost gelatinous, pressing down against my chest like I was sleeping under a weighted blanket soaked in oil. My breath tasted of ash, my tongue dry and cracked. I sat up expecting to cough, but no sound came. The silence was absolute. The weight in the air wasn't just from the smell, it was from something else, something nearby. I didn't move at first. I watched the faint undulations in the air above the floorboards. Like heat rising from pavement, but blacker, denser. A shimmering wave of something pressing up from the cracks in the wood, almost like it was breathing. Then I noticed the walls. They were slick, glossy in a way they hadn't been before. Dark streaks ran from ceiling to floor, faintly reflecting my own terrified expression back at me. As I reached out to touch them, the walls felt soft, pliable, like wet leather. The sulfur returned in a sudden pulse, rushing over me like a tide. My eyes burned, my throat clenched. I stumbled to the bathroom, desperate for clean air. But when I flipped the light, the mirror wasn't mine. The reflection stared back, taller, thinner. Its skin slick with black residue, its eyes wide and hollow. Its mouth moved just before mine, whispering words I couldn't hear but could feel threading through my thoughts. I turned the light off. The sulfur smell thickened, becoming cloying sweet, almost metallic. I gagged, tasted something coppery, and wiped my mouth with the back of my hand. When I looked down, it was streaked with black, oily smears. The whispers started again. Not in my ears, inside my head. You belong. Stay. Become. I tried to scream, but my throat closed around the sound. I clawed at the walls, at the floor, trying to find a way out, but the apartment had shifted. The door was gone. The windows were blacked out, smooth like obsidian, showing nothing beyond. The footprints were back, thicker now, pooled with black sludge. They weren't just prints, they were pathways, winding and circling, leading from the walls to the bed, from the ceiling to the center of the room. I followed them. I couldn't stop myself. Each step sank slightly, as though the floor were softening beneath me. The sulfur became a constant pulse, syncing with my heartbeat, thick and loud. The air vibrated with it, harmonizing with the whispers that grew louder, closer. You are the key. Open. I reached the center of the living room, where the footprints converged into a perfect circle. The floor there wasn't wood anymore. It was something darker, slick and pulsing faintly. I knelt, compelled, as though my body no longer belonged to me. My hands trembled as I pressed them into the circle. It was warm. The blackness crawled up my arms, slick and whispering, pulling itself into my skin. My vision swam. The sulfur thickened, blinding me, choking me. But beneath the stench was something else. Something ancient, electric, familiar. The circle widened. The floor split open like a mouth. I saw eyes staring up from beneath, dozens, hundreds, reflecting back my own terrified face. The whispers crescendoed into a single unified word that rattled my bones. Now! I screamed. I fell. The blackness swallowed me whole, and when I opened my eyes, I was standing in my living room. Morning light streamed through the windows. The sulfur was gone, but on the floor where the circle had been was a faint, dark smear, not fresh. Old, like something had burned its way through long ago and cooled, leaving behind a scar. My hands are clean. My skin is unmarked. But when I look into the mirror, my reflection blinks first, and in the silence I can still hear the faint, familiar whisper. Stay. Become. You're home.